as a personal favorite of mine, Railroads Online. I love this game. Alright, I'm gonna start fresh, brand new save for this stream. What should I call this? New save file for this new world. How about 1000 dot railroad? Put a dot in between the RR, so you know it's a railroad. There we go. 1000 railroad, aka 1000% railroad. Lake Valley, no. But how about Mesa Plains? I really like that. Let's do preload. Alright. And alright. Let's start. I love Mesa Plains. But we're gonna have a fun twist with this map. Because it's a deserty map, I have a fun idea. Because there's one fun thing you can do with the weather in Railroads Online is you could change it to your liking. Like, as in, you could change it from like a sunny day to rain, fog, or even better, a nice snow, like a light snow and regular snow, heavy snow, all the way to full-on blizzard, like from just like a light sprinkle of snow to all the way to full-on blizzard. And I have a fun idea. So how about we have it set to full-on blizzard here? Oh man, it's been so long since I last played this. Ooh, we start with one of my favorite locomotives, the Baldwin 8/18C Eureka, aka the Eureka, you know? I love this train. In fact, it's kind of a little familiar. I bet you're feeling the same vibe. Doesn't it remind you of Toy Story? Yes, specifically the third one. In the very beginning, the locomotive that Sheriff Woody tries to stop from, you know, driving into a just blown up bridge that One-Eyed Bart had blown up, is that locomotive is the Eureka, which I think was, I don't know if there's anything having to do with Walt Disney, but I definitely know one thing about Walt Disney is he loved model trains, especially the Baldwin 8/18C, aka the Eureka, which was his favorite. So before we start this, I change the weather. Usually it's in gameplay. You find the setting under weather duration, dynamic custom weather. There we go. Clear skies, cloudy, overcast, light rain, heavy rain, thunderstorm, light snow. Let's have it go full on blizzard. There we go. Alright. We got some flat cars, so we can deliver logs to the sawmill. Alright, this is the map. I'm gonna zoom in. Over here is the freight depot. That's where you always spawn. This is a massive map. So we're gonna head. Where's the sawmill? Where's the logging camp? It should be over here. And after we load up with logs, the logging camp, and you head straight to the sawmill. First, I need to calibrate all the switches from here. Okay, that's set. Switch that. Need that. Switch that. Switch that. There we go. There we go. All set. Alright. Let's get this puppy started. Let's get this favorite locomotive of mine. It's not my all-time favorite steam locomotive, though. There we go. I wish you could ride a horse to get around the map so you wouldn't have to just travel by train. Alright, set the reverser to 100% forward, full throttle, and no brakes. Oh wow, look at that! Okay, second compressor to 100%. Oh, almost forgot, I need to let this train warm up first. That's the thing about steam engines, is you gotta pay attention to boiler pressure. If you don't let it warm up, then you're gonna lose speed the second you start accelerating. So let's get you fueled up, some extra Oomph, 100 degrees. Now you gotta pay attention to some of the stats on this. Oh, it's such a beautiful locomotive and such an icon of the Wild West right there. Just let her warm up for a second. Because you see, there's two stats under the MPH gauge: water temperature and fire temperature. What you want to pay attention is your fire temperature. As soon as that stops rising, then that means you've reached. Then the boiler, then it's all set. Then you won't lose. Because if it's like too low of a fire temperature, then you're going to lose pressure in the boiler, which means you're going to slow down the instant you try to accelerate. Almost maxed out. 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Still waiting for it to rise up. Okay, let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flat cars. In fact, we'll get 2 more. Now, I bet you're asking, Captain Obvious, why did you do a pre-laid and not an unlaid map? Well, I did pre-laid mainly because I do not have enough time to lay down all the track, you know. Plus, I feel like it's kind of a two-man job. You know, you need someone. Oh, 600. I think that's good enough to start moving around 600 degrees. I think usually it would max out. The temperature of the boiler would max out at 600 degrees. There we go, back into that flat car. Perfect. Set throttle regulator to 0. I think it maxes out at 700 or 800. Alright. I think we're good. Alright. Let's see how well this beautiful locomotive can do. The old number 2. Yep. Maxes out 752. We're on our way. Flying again. So cool. Oh man, this is what I love about this map. Whoa, giant cactus. Alright. Okay, realistically, there would be no giant cacti next to the track like that. Because railroad regulation states that any tree, just any tall object close to the rail tracks that isn't man-made must be chopped down and or destroyed. Because let me give you a good example of this. Imagine that tree that's really too close to the tracks that we're about to pass is struck by lightning or somehow chopped down. They could destroy the track. Well, if a train's passing by, you can call the locomotive or any of the other cars, or the engineer, or any of the other employees that work in it. Like, the only exceptions are stuff that close to tractor stations and other stuff. That's cool. Railroad. Nice rest stop. Oh, boiler. Oh, I need to pull the boiler back up. Stop. Reverse. There we go. Okay, I need to stop exactly at the water tower. I didn't realize I'm really low on water. I need to refill the Eureka on water. Stop right there. kind of water tower. Oh, I just need to move the locomotive forward just a tiny bit. Yes, it is particularly challenging with Railroads Online, you know. Alright. Move the Eureka just for a tiny bit. Not too much. And stop. Uh-oh, went too far. Well, let me tell you this. My goal with Rayfitra is 100% complete this amazing railroading game. Honestly, it's the most realistic I've ever played, even though there's another one that's similar that is called Age of Steam that's got a lot more locomotives and stuff. I like this one better. Okay, now what? What? This water tower is broken. Why will it not fill tender? Yeah, I'll just build a fresh one. For this water tower, because it's much better. So I don't like those really tall ones. There, just put it right there. This one doesn't work at all. Shoots out for the regular ones. Alright, moving forward just a little bit. Right into the water tower. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Just fly up a little bit. They only have the flight setting just so it makes easier placing track. Because that part's not realistic, but it makes it a lot easier placing track. Move that down. I think I put it too close to the track. I really did put that too close to the track. It's been a hot minute since I last played. Hold on. Choose variant. There. Put you right there. There we go. It's perfect. Does not interfere with the track at all. That water tower is broken. The one I tried using. For some reason, it poured water into the tender. Stop you right. Just reverse the Eureka. Pull it forward just a little bit. Just a tiny bit more. Perfect. That is absolutely perfect. Alright, now I just gotta lower the spout. Or the chute spout water towers. They're much more better maintained. And in my opinion, much more efficient. Oops. Water on the wood, that's not good. There we go. Almost there. There, just over the... No, what? Yep, tender is filling up with water. Let me make sure I got this. Yep, it's filling the tender up. I mean, that little water bar just above the sandbar, which is on the left of the MPH gauge on my HUD, shows that the water is filling up the tender, which is nice. Right. As soon as that gauge is full, this will start filling up with reserve water. There, yep, knew it. takes a minute for that to happen. I think we're kind of good on water. It's almost, yeah, almost full. Almost full. Takes like a second or two for water to start pouring through. I think we're actually good. Boiler's full. I think that's enough reserve water to go on for a while. Alright, there we go. Alright, ludicrous speed! Yeehaw! To the logging camp! Because I'm playing a desert map, delayed track, means I can just go full speed without any worry. Because when you build your own track and really build a line, there's a lot of trial and oops. I think I might be going ahead. Nah, I think I'm going to one thing I love about this game is the fact that if you go too fast on a really tight curve, the locomotives will derail. Along with the cars too, which I think is amazing detail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 flatbed cars. Another thing I love about this game is the fact it's got multiplayer, online multiplayer for up to 15, 16 people at once, you know? How cool is that? 16 people railroading together all at once on one world. I think this is what let's slow down. Curve, tighter. Well, I think I might, yeah, I need to switch the track here. Well, I need to check to see if it's forward. Oh, I need to reverse just a tiny bit. Just need to reverse just a tiny bit because that's the chord width side. For context, logging camp, the railroads align. You collect two different types of wood that it constantly produces: logs and cordwood. Logs are used for the sawmill to get planks and beams, which are used for the iron mine and other industries. The beams are used for all the other, at least most of the other industries. They collect resources and deliver to the freight depot. But in the earliest possible in Railroads Online, you start with delivering logs to the sawmill, and then when you have enough money, you can start you need to get stake cars to load it, which can only be loaded with, let's see, with with beams, planks, and I mean, if you have any other questions, I could just consult the wiki here. For example, if you go cars, those are smaller cars from other locomotives. Here's and raw iron and rails. Raw iron being the heaviest resource in Railroads Online. Not only that, it's got some really good details about the history about these cars and all that, which is nice. Well, the train is pulling up to the station. Go to locomotives. Look at my most favorite locomotive in the entire game. Not consolidation. Where is it? The Class 70. The D&RG Class 70, aka the Baldwin 10-26E2. My favorite locomotive in Railroads Online. This is, obviously, an iconic locomotive of Wild West. And not only that, the wiki here says that there's two Class 70s, D&RG 340 and RTS 41. Not very far. Currently at Colorado Railroad Museum, which is really cool. Someday I'd like to go to the Colorado Railroad Museum and take a good look at their Class 70. They also got Cook Mogul there. These cars with logs. This is what I love about this game. It's so much fun loading and unloading cars. At least it's fun loading cars. Because you have to manually do it. I like that because that's realistic. you could kind of load them without having to touch the loading crane here by just going to train, just going interacting with the locomotive and switching to viewing the cars. I mean, that's fun and all, but I very much prefer to do it manually, mainly because I feel like that is so much more fun. Alright. Forward a little bit. It's like I need to top off Eureka's fuel. And stop. First I need to top up fuel, which is just wood. Firebox is at 100%. There we go. Logs are loading. Yeah, I just need to tap the cranes once and they'll automatically load any valid cars that can collect its cargo. Alright, time for the last 2 logs. Another cool thing I love is they can manually interact with the controls for the train from first person, which I think is also a maze bucket. Alright. Squeeze the brakes just a bit. There we go. Now we're moving at a nice pace, and finally, perfect. Now, we load these final 2 cars. Oops, I forgot to turn that one on. There we go. There's the last car being loaded. And we're all set to go to head to the sawmill. Perfect. Alright. Full throttle, have the brakes at 72%. Maybe a little lighter, 64%. There we go. Alright, here we go. On our way to the sawmill. The sawmill should be ironwood. Should be all the way over there. So I just need to switch the track from this HUD to this map screen, which I think is really nice. Okay, switch tracks. Is that? Class 70 it would be much easier to go on steep inclines. I think we could go full throttle here. Slow down just a little bit. It's a little tight. Slow just a little bit more. There we go. Another detail I love is the fact that if you're going just a little too fast, like before the point derailment occurs, the cars will look a little bit, start to wobble rapidly side to side, which is a nice detail that I really like. Go a little more faster. Also turn off the HUD except for the compass, which is nice. Now we can go full throttle. Yeehaw! Now we're getting faster. So, 1,700 tons at level 1. what just happened? It's that sapling in the track. What the heck? Sheesh, you'd think for a free-laid track it wouldn't have anything like that in the way. That was that was kind of crazy. That surprised me. That sapling literally derailed the train. In real life, it literally gets regulation to let anything grow in between the tracks, you know? Really close to the tracks. Mainly because it could cause a huge railroad disaster, something like that. Like a sapling was like in the middle of the tracks, like that, you know? 'Cause that would cause a major disaster in railroading, to be honest. Now we're back on our way to the sawmill. After that sapling incident. Down a little bit because this is where we unload the logs. All 6 cars accounted for. Perfect. Stop right there. Manually load. What the? Okay, that was weird. Technical difficulties. That was majorly weird, getting kicked out of Railroads Online like that. I mean, I think it might be because Xbox servers are being overloaded with people trying to play. There we go, there we go. Sorry about that. So sorry about that. Loading back in. I love the music in the main menu. And welcome to the chat, Kolchowski. Really cool. Alright. Takes a second to load. It's just syncing with the last save data from that world. There we go. It shows you the autosave icon. That usually means that it's finished loading. There we go. 2000 RR. Such a fun soundtrack. I also like the photography pictures that they show of some of the maps and some of the cool things you could do in Railroads Online. Like, I've seen people do gravity runs where they essentially, like, if it's like on one of those maps that has like a really steep incline, like Aurora Falls does, then they would just do like a gravity run, or at least what I would call a gravity run, where they would have an engine on the back, pull the cars up on a steep part of like a really steep incline, and they just release the cars and let them just run down the track to the bottom, you know? It's a fun thing to do. Alright, pulling up, loading the logs again. Another thing you can do is they can manually save instead of having to wait for the auto-save, which I think is a really nice feature there. And stopping right there. Perfect. Unloading logs. Uh-oh. I am terribly sorry for the technical difficulties that is just happening. Why did it just kick me out right there? I was just unloading cars. Maybe I should do a new one that isn't pre-laid. I mean, that would be better because I didn't like the fact that there's like a sapling in the middle of those tracks that derailed the Eureka right off the tracks. Takes a second. Data synchronization. I thought that was interesting and pretty weird. I hope the developers of this amazing game fix that problem, you know? Last time I played this, that did not happen last time I played this game. There we go. Yeah, how about we do one of my other saves that I haven't played in a while, like Western Railroad, Lake Valley, or Aurora Falls. You know, why don't we do Aurora Falls? It is a massive map after all. Alright, maybe, hopefully this will be better on Aurora Falls. It probably will be better. Plus, I got some cooler locomotives to show I have on that world. Oh man, it's just such an amazing game. That's weird. Why is the screen all white? Oh, there we go. Honestly, I'm just excited to see what they add next in the next updates for this amazing railroading game. And sometimes the screen freezes when you load in a world. There's the Baldwin 10-22E1 Muska. Such a fun locomotive. I also have the Eureka on this world and the Baldwin class 10-22D2, aka the DNRG class 47. I like the Muska, it's such a nice one. Oh, that's so nice. Oh, do we have any planks to deliver to the iron mine and the sawmill? Yeah, look how massive this map is. Like, look at, like, you can tell it's extremely mountainous on, like, the bottom half. Like, the upper half isn't as mountainous, but it gets really mountainous and steep on the upper half, which is strictly reserved for stronger locomotives. Okay, sawmill. Okay, we need to deliver some, well, where's the iron mine? Oh, wow, it's all the way up there. Iron mine is all the way up here. You zoom in better. Yep, I need to deliver 50 planks and 30 beams. Let's see, how many stake cars do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need 4 more. Do I have any more around here? No, I do not. Nor do I have the funds for that. Okay, I just have to do a 6. Okay. Here's one thing I don't have time is I don't have time to put this train on a turntable and flip it around along with the way car I got right here, even though there's a caboose. I usually save using the caboose for heavier loads, at least for cars that are taller, almost taller than the locomotive. Okay, oops. It's kind of hard to tell if you selected something. There we go. Select Rear Railing Baldwin Muska Tender. Alright. We flip it around. There we go. One thing you gotta keep in mind about re-railing stuff in this game is that when you re-rail a car or a locomotive or a tender, it's gonna have the brakes set all the way to 100%. That is backwards. There. Set the brakes to 0. Make sure the brakes on these cars are set to 0. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot slower. One thing about Aurora Falls is that I did not mess with the weather settings on this. The weather is already like this when I first started playing on this world. Alright. Just need to make sure that brakes on the tender are set to 0. And we're all set. Just need to back up into the cars. Okay. Way car all connected. And flipping. There we go. Ah, it just sounds nice. Yeehaw! Wagon train moving. Literal train. Another thing I like about these maps, the snow, is that sometimes if the tracks are close enough to the ground, then snow will pile up on them, you know? Completely hiding them. Like literally, you can barely see the track on the right. That's a really nice detail there. I think we're good to go faster. Looks like I need to top off Muska's fuel. There we go. There we go. Back to 100% fuel. second to look at the switches, signs, lumber loop, log pond, lumber loading. Yeah, the lumber loading. Set to that. Log loop is not set to log loop. Alright, we're all set. There are the beams, ready to collect. Alright, now we gotta slowly bring these cars, line them up, cranes. Right there, perfect. I think I'm gonna load them from view of the car. Oh, look how dark it gets. The dynamic day and night cycle. Alright. Wait. Load. There we go. There we go. Cars are getting loaded. Should probably turn on the lanterns in the wait car. Orange. I like the orange. It's really nice. I wonder if the Muska can have lanterns in the front. Just want to see that. Can't? Ah, it doesn't. Sadly. Dang. Just forward. It's the last two cars to load beams. Then we're on our way to the iron mine. Perfect. Just absolutely perfect. Alright, oops, I accidentally have a green lantern on the wait card. There. Alright, wait, I should check the map to see if I can track switch to right. Before we head to the iron mine, I need to make sure that the switches are all set. Why there's a long strand of track right there in the middle. We're okay. set is perfect. Oh, this is just so cool with the headlight, with the train, in the dark. Oh man, this is cool. This is just so much fun. There we go. On our way to the iron mine. Full load of 6 cars worth of beans. Kind of wobbling a little bit. There we go. Now let's go full speed. Yeehaw! Well, the best feature in this game, Green Hydra, a lot of features. Like the fact that it can be really fun and easy, or it can be the most brutally difficult railroad game possible. Let me tell you what's crazy about that. How you make it the most brutally possible is that you can have fuel consumption be extremely high, and not only that, most of the locomotives use coal, which is an absolute pain in the butt to refill because first you gotta load the coal mine with planks, beams, and rails, you know, and then after you do that, you gotta deliver coal to the coal towers across the map, which are used to refill all just the coal tender. That's why I prefer trains like the Class 70 because it requires wood, not coal. I mean, although the strongest locomotive in the game uses coal, though, which is nice. But I feel like there's so many amazing features about this game. I say the best feature is the fact that every single one of these locomotives or train cars is a 100% exact recreation. Like every detail, down to the bolts, is exactly like it is in real life. These are actual trains. I think that's the best feature, you know? Because not that many railroad games focus on that kind of detail, you know? But this one, I love Railroad One. I love the fact that every single detail, like down to the bolts and all that, is exactly just like it is in real life, you know? I think that show you how cool the cast there. Oh, it's steep incline. That's what that sign over back there was for. So that's the steep incline. I can show you what I mean by the details are exactly as they are. Like, a lot of these locomotives don't exist anymore. I mean, they kind of do exist in the game, but not in real life anymore. Like, here we have the Cook Consolidation, which there no longer exists, which is sad. It's such a nice locomotive. In fact, it's a predecessor to my favorite locomotive, the Class 70. Like, it is eerily similar, you know? Like, I can tell them apart with the paint job and the way they're just assembled, which is interesting. But a major difference between these two awesome locomotives is this one runs on wood. Wait. Oh, there's a coal variant of an earlier version of the Cook. Well, there we go. These locomotives are nearly the same, but there's a major difference. This one runs on wood. This one runs on coal. They're exactly the same, just cosmetically different. This is a fun locomotive. I haven't used this one, but it is a pretty nice one. From the Utah Railway. It's in Utah, which is nice. I love the Class 70. That's not where the end game is. No, you have like stuff like the Lima Consolidation and the Mastodon. I love the Mastodon, it's such a cool one. You also have the DNRG Class 125. This thing is a monstrous beast at hauling heavy loads. And then finally, you have a predecessor to the legendary Big Boy that is still in service today. Oh, this predecessor no longer exists. It is an impressive locomotive. It's massive. It has the highest tractive effort. And I bet you're gonna ask, what does the tractive effort mean? Well, that is exactly what I'm gonna explain. Tractive effort is like how well it's kind of hard to explain. To simplify it, it's how well the locomotive will do on steeper grades and stuff. For example, Utah locomotives are specifically designed to handle extremely stiff curves and steep track at the same time, which I think makes them really nice and useful. The coolest part, I think, not only that, you also have cars that are recreated as well. Some of them are missing their history and stuff. I mean, like written down, like written history. For example, there's absolutely nothing about this high side gondola in the wiki, which I find weird. Because I go like, why isn't there any information about the high side gondola for the end game that they have right here for the gold industry, along with the mail? Oh, nice. Pretty nicely. Really steep. Slow down. Back to look at the locomotives. Like, I can zoom in. Like, look at the I have the settings set to performance. So like, look at the bolts. Like, onto the drivetrain rods. It's exactly as it is. I mean, this locomotive doesn't exist anymore because it was scrapped from materials in the beginning of World War II. But this one still exists. Courtesy of the Colorado Rail. Look at that! Look at all the bolts right there. That is exactly as it is in real life. I mean, I've seen videos of people recording other engineers driving Eureka at the Colorado Railroad Museum a lot. And I say, like, the details are just really nice. Like, look at all the bolts right there. Exactly where they would be on the one they have in the Colorado Railroad Museum. And, like, the drivetrain rod as well, I think it's amazing. Like, the details are amazing. But sometimes you can just zoom into the firebox and see the inside of it. At least, I think that it's for certain locomotives, though. Alright. Enough about that. I think that just goes to show how much work goes example, I'm at level 4, which gives me access to this amazing locomotive, the Muska, along with the Cook Mogul. I love the Cook Mogul, especially the coal-powered version, which I really like because it just looks so nice. I mean, I have a certain setting on that prevents the coal from being completely consumed and such, so I wouldn't have to spend hours refilling each and every coal tower across the map for that, you know. I like the Utah 062. It's really nice locomotive. Like, I'm at level 4, which gives me access to the vault, which gives me access to the Muska and the Cook Mogul, and the Utah 062 D3. But when I reach level 5, I'll unlock Armel Heisler, which is a nice locomotive. In fact, it's a really nice one, specifically designed for logging, you know, like delivering logs to sawmill and back on really steep grades, but just really heavy loads. And here we have Ruby Basin. I haven't used this one much. I mean, I actually only used this locomotive once, because when I reach level 5, I usually get the Cook Consolidation, which is supposed to be an upgraded Cook Mogul, but way better looking, way cooler. Really close to look like a Class 70. Like, you can notice like the difference is that they look eerily similar, you know? Except the Class 70 has a bigger tender, and the wheels, the distance between the wheels is different. Nice. And plus you got the American flag on the Class 70. That's something only the Class 70 and Eureka could have, which I find interesting about this game. Here's the Eureka. Ah, here it is. At least that's an optional thing for the Eureka. Uh-oh. We're slowing down. Better go full throttle here and top up the fuel. So yeah, when you level up, you also unlock new cars as well. We're almost there. I say the developers did a really good job with delayed tracks for Aurora Falls sports. I also like how you interact with locomotives, like the doors, windows, which is nice. Alright, shoot, look at the view. We're gonna go full speed, no brakes. This is a really steep incline. When you're going up a steep incline, you have to go full throttle, no brakes. Otherwise your train's gonna stop just in the middle of the incline, you know, which is really bad for railroad business. we did it! We successfully took a load of 6 cars full of wood beams. Now, before I end stream, I want to enlighten you about the history of this way car, which is this car at the end of the train. This was built before we had cabooses on the back of trains. And this would serve as like a mobile office for engineers on the train, you know? Who would stay on the back and make sure the cars are all connected, you know? And also so the engineer can see that the cars are still attached to the train at night. Hence why there are lanterns on the outside of this car. And this is way before a caboose. In fact, a caboose is just a way car with a nice cubby on top, aka the cupola, you know? That gives you like a nice bird's eye view above the train, so you can see everything's alright, you know? No, yeah, these cars, at least the early ones, had brakes that were just as strong as the stake cars, you know, or at least as the basic flat car, which could significantly slow down any train, you know, in case of any emergency. Because, from what I know, you have like 2 or 3 engineers on the locomotive, constantly topping off its fuel, and you have 2 or 1 in the way car, aka the caboose, just making sure everything's alright, and also at the ready to pull the brakes, just in case something goes wrong or something derails. No, it would just start with benches, you know, but much later on, we have a caboose that would be like bunk beds, like an office kind of thing. But this is what the engineers had in the early 1800s, or at least 1800s, for a mobile office on a train. You also like have a stove for cooking stuff. Here's a fun detail. So you can actually put wood in this, and if you look outside, smoke comes out of the smokestack. How cool is that? That's a nice detail about the wig car. Anyways, I love you all. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. You know, I hope you all enjoyed this amazing Railroads Online stream, you know. I love this game because it holds a special place in my heart, because a long time ago, a younger Captain Obvious saw videos of this game in beta testing. Now I've watched so many videos on gameplay about this game, and I've waited so long for it to come out on Xbox. I love that it's out and available on Xbox. I mean, it came out last year, but I was left in the dark when it came out until recently, you know. I love this game. It just holds a special place in my heart for how amazing it is. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. This is Captain Obvious 1000% Fun. If you like more content like this, then I highly recommend subscribing to my awesome YouTube channel, Gavin at 55% Truth. I repeat, my channel is called Gavin at 55% Truth. I hope you all enjoyed this as much as I did. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I love you all.